What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Coach P. Koffe Brown here, and we're super excited about the next two editions of the Hot Seat. We are in full gear as we get ready to prepare for the official worldwide release of a brand new anthology project by some incredible men. Some you may be familiar with, others you're going to be introduced to tonight as first-time writers with DFG Publishing House, and we're so excited to have all of them present as they share with you what it means when you say you love me, but do you respect me? A brand new project. You have got to connect with your favorite author from tonight's segment. Grab your copy. Not only get a copy for you, but get one for a friend. Please enjoy this presentation of The Hot Seat featuring our brand new authors, emceed by Charles Dixon from Unique Perspective, Love Talk Radio.
Hello and good evening to some, good night to others. Welcome to the virtual launch party for the book, You Say You Love Me, But Do You Respect Me? Glad you guys were able to tune in, and we hope that you get something out of tonight to get a glimpse of things that are to come from this wonderful book. And all of these wonderful 15 guys that took place in this, what I would hail as I would say it's a literary master. So the guys are coming in now. How everybody doing this evening?
Doing well.
Right.
Doing great, brother.
Pretty good, pretty good.
How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. All right. How you doing, Mr. Oliver? See you, sir. All right. So first, I guess what would be befitting is we can just go around the horn really quickly, and everyone maybe just state your name. And if you want to state what you do, you can. But if not, at least state your name, and we can go on from there. We start with you, brother Carl.
Carl Surratt Jr. I'm a partner with a logistics company. I'm also a life coach and a partner to Dear Brothers, Dear Sisters, a network that helps to promote healthy relationships.
Awesome. All right. Jason.
My name is Jason Williams. By day, I am a manager for a civil engineering consulting firm. By night, I'm a musician, and every day, all day, I am the lead servant for Elevate Ministries.
Awesome stuff, man. David. You're on mute. That's all right.
Sorry, I'm David Beaver. Thank you. Appreciate that. David Beaver here out in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in the great Midwest. Hey, I am an IT director, actually, and I am actually a business owner of a small IT company as well. Also am a business owner and ministry, as well as Kingdom Solutions. And I am enjoying and looking forward to this project we own, and now a co-author with you brothers. So
yeah, it's amazing. All right. Pastor Rex.
Hi, I'm Pastor Rex A. Peel. I am a pastor and a school teacher. So I'm a bivocational pastor. Teach music and serving the greater Chicagoland area.
Awesome. All right. Pastor Patrick. Can you hear us? Pastor Patrick, can you hear us?
I can hear you now. How are you? Well, I am a father, which was wearing thin on me today.
All right.
A father, a pastor, I am a regional property manager.
Okay.
Actual company I'll leave nameless. And just here to enjoy life, and thank you for allowing me to be on a platform, gentlemen.
Awesome. Definitely, not last but not least, Mr. Oliver. You're on mute, sir.
There we go.
That's all right.
I'm Bruce Oliver. I own a real estate holdings company that I am currently dumping in hopes of retirement. So if anyone want to buy some properties free and clear, do not hesitate to inbox me.
All right, sir. And I'm Charles Dixon. I guess I would say by day, I'm a director of legal operations, specializing in IP law. But I have a radio station, Unique Perspectives, Little Talk Radio, and a Bridge Over Life coaching services. So I do a host of lots of things, but I specifically enjoy writing and things and encouraging people and things, of that nature. So I'm excited to be on this wonderful team of brothers writing this book. Some of the guys here, I must say, I don't see Darren here, but I see Jason here. We wrote on one of the first projects similar to this, and that book was with Jason. It's why he married her and played me, right? 9 Secrets or something like that. So it was like about 10 of us that time. Really same kind of concept, but a different content. But it was exciting and fun. It was really a good thing to do. And so the 3 of us worked together on that project. And I think there's a couple of other guys on the other segment team that's next week that did the same thing. So this is great. Good stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I guess what I wanted to start off with you guys is, and you guys can feel free to collectively jump in, but my first question is, when you got the call to do this book, and when Koffe told you the title, what was the first thing that came to mind? We'll start with you, Jason. Yeah.
The first thing that came to mind when I heard the topic of the book, I said, we are about to be in trouble. Because it was such for me, it was such a magnetizing subject matter, because I believe a lot of men probably want to say that. You say you love me, but do you respect me, woman? Because there are a lot of times you get into situations where you like, I believe you love me, but there's something about this situation that I don't feel like you really right. I don't think you understand what I really need. And I think this was a subject matter that really needed to be discussed, especially on this type of a platform.
Totally agree. Anyone else?
I think I felt like Jason. This is David, and I was like, "Whoa, we about to be in some trouble." But at least if we're gonna be in some trouble, lay it all on the line. Put out there our perspective of what we needed to say. So that we can they can hear from our hearts, from men, what we mean, what respect was, and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, for me personally, definitely, just like the both of you all, when I heard it, first thing I said is, Koffe always putting us in the hot seat, literally. But anyway, this is one of them things where there is no win-win. Once you kind of give your opinion, these sorts of things, it's like I don't care how we sort of spin it. It's like once men project how they feel, then sometimes there's like this unspoken warrant for rebuttal, right? I guess there's like, well, we feel this way, because one of the things I've heard for years is when I hear men talk about wanting respect, and then the first thing women will say was, well, you need to act like somebody worthy of respect. And so in my mind, I used to always think, well, why can't a person just come to the table being respected, period, unless they give you a reason to be, as we heard the many names, tired, sorry, whatever you call it. But if a person is coming to the table legitimately, why not just respect them at face value? But that's something as I think over time has changed, and it's more of a warranting thing. It's like an action. You got to kind of show an action to get that. You just don't get that bottom line. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. I agree, man. But definitely with everybody saying, when she called and she asked, and I was just like, here we go. And I said, this is gonna go. The title is gonna go viral by itself.
Yeah.
It's one of those titles, that gets you thinking and saying, okay. But like I said, it's what we hear in the barbershop. Not that I go to the barbershop, but I'm talking about, it's that conversation we hear in the barbershop, when guys are just sitting around talking about respectlessness, and just to be able to put that dynamic out there, like you said, from men, from pouring out from our hearts, in this, and not from a way of being condescending or bashing or anything. It's just from our hearts on how we see respect. Man, I'm telling you, I was like, okay, Koffe, what are you doing?
Yes.
Well, I thought it was a challenging subject, but I wanted to make sure that I did the subject justice. So as a new author, I pondered it quite a while before I committed to signing on to it, because I wanted to make sure that I could do the writing altogether justice. And then when I heard the title, it was like, okay, this is really something that I'm gonna have to dig into to hopefully bring some clarity to the idea and answer with some respect. So hopefully, I think I've accomplished that.
Well, for me, Charles, I stay in trouble with the things I write. So it was something that I was used to and looking forward to.
Yeah.
I love to stir the dialogue up. Let's get it going. And if it's the essence of who we are and what we if it's our love language, I want to start that conversation going.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I think collectively, as our readers begin to read this book, because although it's kind of phrased in a way that would seem that it's pointed to the woman, much like that first publication we spoke to, I don't know, I can't speak for no one else, but I learned from just the other brothers' train of thought on the first topic of the book that we wrote before collectively. And so I was just thinking, hey, it's a learning scenario for men and women. It's like for us, it gives us the chance to measure ourselves where we are, where we're thinking, to kind of you can take something from someone else's toolkit to help your life, and I kind of take it like that. But I have learned that you have to be, when it comes to treating an individual a certain way versus how maybe that person is kind of expecting you to, there's so many minute ways where disrespect can creep its head in there. And it's not always the overt, blatant things that you think, oh, why'd you do this? Or why'd you say this? It's those little small campfires that can burn the whole thing down if you're not careful over time, Yeah. So let's do this. First, I want to tap into, let's see, Mr. Bruce. Let's talk a little bit, just a tad bit. We don't want to give away too much, but your particular chapter deals with honor my name. I thought that was befitting because, as we know, Bruce, we've done several shows, right? Just outside of this. And the shows we've done, Bruce, I will say, Bruce is true to form and he's consistent because honor, respect has been something that Bruce has always said. That's across the board. So tap a little bit into that.
If you are in the military and you understand rank, or if you ever experience a tenure in the martial arts where you have to go up through rank before you reach your black belt, you learn to give those who have authority over you based on experience.
Wow.
You learn to give a little more than respect. You honor them.
Yeah.
So I feel as though that is a dynamic that we as men need to shift our minds to.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more than just love.
Yeah, for sure.
I need you to show that by how you honor me.
Yeah. Wow.
I prefer the honor, but to be real, Charles, I prefer the honor over the expressions of love.
Yeah.
You just loving me with your words, girl.
To me, it's all encompassing. Once you give the honor, you can't help but feel the sprinkles of everything else that comes from that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's good stuff.
The fact that there are pastors on this platform.
Yeah.
If I enter into a dynamic in a room with the men of God, I'm already assuming that they have experienced some dynamics that are worthy of honor because of what they have to share.
Yeah.
What they can do to impact me as an individual, impact my life. So I don't approach, even though they're men, I get it. I don't approach them haphazardly.
Yes.
I approach them, all men of God, I approach them with a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say a preordained respect, but a premeditated honor.
Yeah.
I look to honor them even before I go in the room.
Yes.
Based on my understanding of who they are.
Yeah. That's good stuff. Yeah. So, all right, let's switch on over to Mr. Carl. We're going to shake the floor up a little bit. We're going to put Carl in the hot seat. Carl, your topic is going to light some fire. Might as well get the propane tank out now. Anyway, Carl's topic is last I checked, I have the ... All right, we're going to let you go ahead on into your concept of that, Carl.
I tell you, when she gave me the subject matter, when I saw that the topic I was going to deal with, it was definitely, it definitely took me to a different place. Like I literally had to, I won't say step out of myself, but I had to really step out my comfort zone.
Wow.
And realizing that, and I know how people view sex a lot of times and how they want respect in a certain manner. But there's such a bigger picture with it and the entire entity that goes with it. So so for me, I just looked at it from, as a man and you're in this position. And a lot of times we know as men, they say, our what we have in that, using that word, what we have puts us in this position that's our power.
Yes.
But if you're not using it correctly,
wow,
it can be powerless. So,
wow.
so I had to look at it from a standpoint of, if you're dealing with this and you're looking for respect from that, just like you said earlier, it's not just for the women understanding it. It also will help some men to understand how to have the respect and regain that power by having that, no longer putting themselves in this position of being powerless in that area. But it was definitely, I put it this way, it was definitely challenging.
Yeah.
It was definitely, it took me into a thought process that I've never had to go to.
Yeah.
But I really feel like I said, I don't want to go into it, but it's just
I know.
You know what I'm saying? I'm trying not to say anything at all.
I know.
It just, but if you take it from the beginning, all I'll say is, if you read it right, you'll have a climactic ending at the end.
Ooh, let's see right there. That Carl, you sold 200 copies right there. No? Hey, good stuff, man. All right, let's go on over to Mr. Wisdom here, Pastor Pill. Pastor Pill is dealing with something. To me, I think this is kind of like a cousin to honor my name. This one is, can you follow my lead? Very key, because let's just be honest, people, until you can respect or honor, you're not going to follow. So they kind of go hand in hand right there. Yeah.
Well, I'm the newbie of the group.
All right.
And so dealing with the subject, I wanted to be genuine. I wanted to be truthful as much as possible, and shed some light on what I would expect of someone that I'm asking to follow me. And because I function from this perspective: if you can't define it, you can't defend it. And so I like to say what I'm looking for, so that then I can have something to measure it by.
Wow. That's really deep. We're going to say that one again, Pastor. Yeah,
if you can't define it, you can't defend it.
That's it. Somebody need to hashtag that. You can't define it, you can't defend it. That's good. Good stuff. Wow. All right. So, okay. So, Mr. David, let's give the people a little bit about your topic.
Oh, well, my topic was quite interesting. It was.
I know. I'm setting
It
you
was
up.
basically saying, I want your compliments, not your complaints.
Yeah, that's it.
So that when I saw the topic, I was loaded. Right away,
ready.
loaded. It gave me an opportunity to start talking from my heart on what I wanted, as it relates without any feedback. So now, more than the thing, I was, without talking about the whole chapter, I was just trying to give the power of compliments to a man.
Yeah.
And not just about the stroke of the hero, but building that man. We talk about complaints. There are plenty of things to complain about, but using the tool to compliment to get actually what you want from men. So I actually kind of call myself tooling women on how to get what they want without complaining, and using the power of complimenting to building up to even complain. So I use a strategy. They have to read that book. I use a strategy there that I guarantee results if they begin to just stop nagging. And I talk about, a woman who get the nagging and complaining, you'll find us in the rooftop. Or the corner of the rooftop. Or in the golf course or in the car. But you keep complimenting that man. Ain't no rooftop. He coming in, So there's some tools and strategies. I was able to talk about the power of complimenting a man and what that does to a man, and how you can use that to actually not complain, but get the results, although you have something to complain about.
Right. So let me ask you a question. Do you think, and I'm sure we all, to this question, we all could probably have a myriad of responses, but what do you guys think is the source of complaining? Like, do you think women just complain because, or do you think women complain because they may feel as though we're inactive about something they aforementioned that we didn't do? Or they're sort of like, I haven't said this to you, Patrick, and I'm tired. I haven't told you to do, the kids need X, Y, Z, whatever it may be. And after a while, women will escalate to another point, and it'll become consistent. Because we hear it all the time. Just think about some of the songs we done heard. Oh, when a woman's fed up, all these different things over the years. So that takes me into the mindset is there's been a repetitious rhetoric that somebody has ignored. So my point is, that's why I was wondering, so where does because like yourself, I used to I would recite that scripture a lot. And sometimes I would be necessarily, maybe I was in a relationship or so, and I would say, why are you so contentious? And I would repeat that part about the Bible saying, I would joke sometimes, like, I think after this conversation, I'm just going to sleep on the roof. No, this joke anyway. But no, I'm just saying, sometimes you'll be like, enough is enough. I don't want to hear all that. Sometimes it gets a little crazy when it's coming at us all at once. But I wanted to know what you guys think the source, because that complaining piece is a pretty consistent thing across womanhood, period. When they want to be in that space. Put it that way. Yeah.
Well, I'll start off by saying, okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, brother. Go ahead. I'll breathe through that one. Go ahead, bro.
And one thing I love to say is, I'm not saying I'm not going to give you something to complain about. I'm just saying, if you want the best result to get what you want, there's a way to give me the information so that you can get the results. Complaining never moves me to move. Your compliments do.
Wow.
The compliments do. So if you just want something from me, it's tell me in a way.
I think it's also worth noting
the result.
Somebody else is saying something? Oh, Pastor Peel, go ahead.
No, but I wasn't saying anything right now.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Go ahead,
Well,
Bruce.
I'm still going through this phase in which I am asking the Lord to show me boundaries with the word authority.
Oh, wow.
So most of the time, when women complain about something, it's a legitimate gripe. It's probably something that we are moving fast enough on,
For sure.
or some part of the dynamic that we are not handling.
Yeah.
However, I do not believe, and it has not been my experience, maybe because I got this overinflated understanding of authority, that you're not going to complain to me. We will have a conversation. I'm gonna show her the honor to listen to her when we talk, but it's not gonna get to a point, my love, where you are gonna be complaining to me because that's nagging, and that nagging produces a little bit of stress.
Wow.
And we as African American men, we already got enough that we dealing with mentally.
Yeah.
So no, you're not gonna nag me, and I am not going to the corner of the rooftop, especially if I own the house. I'm sorry. Help me out with that, brothers. I'm still growing.
Well, I use a phrase that I got from Mike Murdoch some time ago. And I tell my wife, which man do you want to speak to? Because I believe in every man there's a fool and a king.
Ooh.
Whichever one you speak to, he's gonna stand up. So, if you want to speak to, if you want the king, you got to speak to the king. You got to come to me like a queen.
Wow.
Come to me like
Yeah, that's good stuff.
You're gonna get the fool. So, and I think every man
I'm gonna use
to
that
some point functions from
I'm
that.
gonna use that.
You either speak to the king or you speak to the fool, and whichever one you speak to, that's the one that's gonna stand up.
Yeah, that's it. Wow, that's good stuff. Man.
Well, I know for me personally, I would just like to say this, and I think a lot of times on both sides, we don't study each other enough to know each other well enough on how to truly communicate to each other.
That's it.
I think a lot of times, women as well as men, we get stuck in the way that we communicate and think that's the way everybody communicates.
That's
and I do believe sometimes our women are very good intentioned.
Yeah.
But until they realize who they are really dealing with, like the strongest woman knows she can be the most sensitive and get everything she wants out of a man. The funny thing is, if you got a daughter, your daughter knows that at like 2, 3, 4, 5. But it seems like as they get older, they lose that ideology and go in, well, this is what I need you to do, instead of, hey, daddy, how you doing today? How was your day? And she wants something. She's trying to get something.
Right.
But at the end of that conversation, you're still like, all right, baby, what you want? What you need?
Yeah.
She gets the result. And if even for us men, if we decide to understand the person that we're truly with, then we know how to deal with them to really get the results we want. We just got to really study our mate.
For sure. That's good stuff. And I think there's, in that same point, there is
before being understood.
But what were you saying? Say that again. We didn't catch that.
I said seeking to understand before desiring to be understood.
That's it. Good stuff. Yeah. Man, this is a tough.
There is another side of that nature that I'm trying to understand. Some of them complain and nag to control. Some of them make it a point to highlight what they consider to be our weaknesses or shortcomings to keep us in line with their agenda.
Wow.
I'll pause on that one.
Wow.
You know where I'm going, Charles. I'm trying to control it.
You gonna ride that horse by yourself. I'm not going with you on that one.
That's a good
I was
one.
thinking the same thing. I can't touch that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip around it, but I'm gonna say this.
Okay.
I think a lot of times, and this is something I grew up around and you watch, I try to do this when I'm coaching, and when women are like, he's not listening to me, he's not just, and that's like a comment that came up, maybe she's tired of repeating herself. Yeah. But there's a concept that I think as men that works with us, and it's the 3 T's: time, text, and tone. So if you catch a man at the wrong time, it doesn't matter what you're saying. If he walks through the door and you jump on him, he's not going to hear you. If you're using the wrong context or the wrong tone while using context or what you're saying to him, he's not going to hear you. So when you use the right you can catch them at the right time, which is, hey, I need to sit down. Can we talk? Because if you can sit down with your girlfriends and listen to your girlfriends for hours, and y'all can talk and figure out how to make that work, you should be able to figure out a time to set the mood for your spouse, or your husband, or your mate, that time, and say, I need to talk to you. It's important.
Yes.
Let me know when it's time, when it's a good time, so we can talk. And then you're using the right tone, speaking with love. Same way for men. We need to be the same way. I'm just using this as what we're saying. And then you're using the right context. The text that you're using, you're not belittling. Just like Bruce said, if you're not ever speaking to the good things and positive things that your man does, and it's always negative, he may never even hear when you give him a compliment, because all he hears is negative.
Yes.
So that's the text. So we have to work at a point of communicating and building one another up in that. So if you follow, I tell people it works. I mean, I come from a family of long marriages. Them 3 T's, that time, tone, and text is imperative to making a relationship work.
That's awesome.
If I may add to that, and I love what your gentleman is saying, one of the concepts of when I started thinking about this chapter was, if you have a complaint or you have something to say to your boss that you don't like, or something you have to say to your pastor or somebody else, don't give them a more respect than you will give me and repeating it to me. And that's where the respect level. If I'm the man in your life, nobody should be more respected than me. So if you're not going to complain to your boss in the way you complain to me, then you're showing your boss more respect than the man of your life. And that's where I try to think about it from that perspective. You don't go in your boss nagging like that. You don't do that to your male boss, and you don't do that to your pastor or someone else. You don't do that. And so just because you're not getting a check from me, a monetary dollar from me, don't mean that. So is it, do I need to pay you to get respected or something? So is my train of thought is use a different tool, or show me more respect than you do someone else that you could complain, but you don't, because you're more afraid of your job more than losing your man.
So, the sort of, I guess if we were to look at it like the oxymoron of this whole topic, it's really, in this particular chapter, in some cases, I don't think we've just kind of considered the fact that in some cases, some women weren't even raised in a climate where they saw it done a right way, or like you just said, there's a way to approach. Like, how the old folks would say, oh, you get more bees with honey than you do, all those kind of things like that. And so what I had learned, just when I had to take the time and I kind of just looked at if I looked at my history, or if I dated this person or that, and when I looked at the history of some of the things that I would complain about, it made me have a different perspective when I saw that person didn't even have a measuring board to go by. They were just doing, they were just, sometimes all that scratching at the board is some particular woman's best effort at being heard. To us, it sounded like chalk on the board, but to her, it's her only way of trying to reach you. To Bruce's point, though, now what I will say, and I first have to be this disclaimer, Bruce, I don't think all women purposefully operate in this space, but when it comes to the manipulation piece, and there is a certain manipulation tied to nagging and complaining, because just like most things, if you get a person adapted to a certain consistency of frequency, so in this case, I'm calling complaining and nagging a frequency. After a while, that person is programmed into that frequency. And so that's how the control begins, is because what to us, me and Jason may come over your house and be like, did you hear what she said to Bruce? And Bruce is like, okay, baby, thanks for the food. And we looking like, oh, let's get ready. This is whack. But Bruce is programmed. So Bruce is now under this frequency, and he's lost because he's involved in it. So it is really important to check the frequency hacking when you see it. I've been there and done that, where I have seen these frequencies in place. And when it gets you locked in, I don't care how wise you think you are, you're strong. When that vice is on you, you in it. It's like you messed up. And so it's important. I would tell any guy, if you are, engaging in your relationship, be mindful of being able to check and learn the differences between the manipulation and a legitimate gripe, because we all know where we fall short. Like if we're not doing something, you know the gripe is legitimate. But if someone is kind of coming at you overtly and you're just like, what is this for? You got to kind of check that and see where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's good stuff. Y'all this about to turn up now. All right.
I think another point that we have to be mindful of, Charles, is that in both cases we got to know what we want.
Yeah.
How do I again, going back to how do I define respect?
Yeah.
And then how do I convey that's what I need,
right?
To know that you hear me and that you are respecting me. Because if I don't tell you what I want to know that you're respecting me, and I'm just assuming that you're going to figure it out, I think for both of us, the male and the female, I think we leave ourselves vulnerable to whatever happens.
Wow.
In the midst of that tension. And so we have to be clear on, this is what I need when I say I need respect. This is what I want. And I'm not sure who said it. I think it was Bruce that said, don't come at me when I first step into the door.
Yeah.
Well, then I need to let you know I need some time to de-escalate.
Yeah.
The day has been contentious. My boss is crazy, whatever it was, traffic was mad. Just give me a few minutes, and then if you step across that, then now you asking for the disrespect, maybe not intentionally, but I made it very clear, this is what I need.
Yeah.
And you're going to either have to give me that, or, we may be in for a long night.
Yeah. Like real quick, and I'll move on to the next part. What something Carl said reminded me of something I said a few years ago, Bruce, when we were at What a Woman Want conference. And so I remember saying during that time was, from my perspective, the most valuable woman in the world is the woman who has mastered the art of timing.
Yes.
The woman that knows she has mastered knowing when to and when not. Like meaning that little maneuvering it's like the segue to the success of the relationship when trying to navigate a man. Because just like Pastor Phil just said, sometimes it shouldn't be that he shouldn't have to come home from work and announce that he needs a time. Over time, that brilliant woman can say, if your father's home, okay, let's go do this. We'll go back over there to him later. You're already anticipating what he needs before he has to announce it. Because if a man is announcing it, he's now exhausting himself of that negative energy because he's like, why do I have to tell you this? So that's why I always say the person who, in that timing, just so the ladies get my concept. When I say master the timing, I mean master learning your person. When you learn your person, that timing of dealing with him will come with it. So I always have to say that because what I know about what this topic is, the one thing I will say that had me a little edgy when I was writing into this is something about the word respect. It gets really close to that other word. It's like an abomination on the other side of submission. So that respect and submission, it's just an ugly combination. So you got to kind of speak it real easy. You got to walk the fine line with it, or you'll find yourself in submerged in some deep water. So yeah. Yes. All right. Okay, Jason. Okay, this is going to take it to another level. Jason's topic was be there when I fail and fall. This is good. Go into it.
Yeah. This one in particular was definitely challenging, to say the least.
Okay.
Not because I've never failed or fallen. Let's just to be clear about that. But maybe because of the fact that I've only had very little examples of what I think a man needs after he falls or fails.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it doesn't necessarily mean infidelity. It doesn't necessarily mean you went to the far end of something, but I failed you in an area. Yeah. And a lot of times I think I'm trying not to get into the book, but
It's
a
okay
lot
to
of times,
get to the pool. It's okay to go.
yeah, I'm trying to sprinkle it. I'm trying to sprinkle it and not give you a whole bite. But at the end of the day, we have to get to a point where we understand each other to the point that we know what the other needs.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if I've already bumped my head, I know I bumped my head. I don't need you reiterating it. I don't need you telling me how many times it happened. I don't need you telling that story all over again.
Wow.
And if we've already talked about it, why are we still talking about it?
Yeah.
I know there are a lot of, because this is not even in my section of the book. I know there are a lot of people that for some reason you need closure on everything. And there's some things it ain't worth it. You don't need to know. You honestly knowing, like for me, I'm one of them dudes that's just like, look, if I don't know and it's over, I don't want to know the details. Because if I know the details, I might change my mind. It may not be over. I'm gonna be angry again. I'm gonna be mad all over. I don't want to talk about it. So I don't want to know. People like, you don't want to know? Nope, don't want to know. I don't want to know the details, and I'm cool with that. Because if I know too much information, it's like what the Bible says: too much information is grievous. It'll make me mad.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I think that's what happens with a lot of women. They keep asking and asking. Well, what about this? Well, what about that? Well, what made you do that? Well, what were you thinking when you did this? I don't know. I don't know. At that time, it was just a moment. I made a mistake, or I didn't do what I said I was going to do. At that moment, I don't know what was going on. It could have been 1,000 things going on. I could have had so much pressure from work that it just slipped my mind, and I failed you in an area. Yes, I did. My bad. Oops. I'm sorry. Can we move on?
Man, I remember when just saying that, you took me back. I remember, I've had many of those conversations where it seems like it's just that desire for all of the details just won't end, right? And so I remember saying, just like when you said, well, it was just this, I can't give you an answer. I told a particular person in an instance, I said, listen, imperfection was that play. Please forgive me. That's what it was. I'm sorry, but I don't have anything else to give you. Like I'm not gonna bleed and come off. I don't know what you want me to say. I sacrifice. I messed up, and sometimes women don't understand. It is hard enough just to admit that. Sometimes it's hard to voice that and say, you know why it's hard? Just for the ladies in the back, it's hard because the moment we say we are sorry because I did offense X, we know for as long as we intend to love you, at some point it's recorded and we're going to hear it over and over. Oh, yes, remember that time you did this? And like, well, didn't I tell you I'm sorry? Is it count for anything, or it's going to always be reminded all the time? So this is why, ladies, men struggle sometimes with giving you the whole black and white truth. We may give you the white truth, a little gray, but the reason we struggle with the whole truth is because we know once we offload it, it's now out of our care, and it's in your hands, and you're gonna choose to do with it what you want, and that may not always feel good coming back. So, oh my goodness, that's something right there. That's good.
But I will say this, as my brother David said, I did leave some tools. Ooh. So if you read that section,
you're gonna get some good stuff.
I promise you, there's some steps to recovery for the total unit of your relationship. There are some steps that you can take and say, look, we're going to do it this way. We're going to move closer and closer so that we can get over this situation to the point where we are both satisfied with the end result.
Wow, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Before go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
I'm sorry, if I could add, I think one of the mistakes that we make as men, right? I believe in the beginning, we present this Superman to the woman that, we can leap over tall buildings.
Yes.
As opposed to presenting to her who we are. I like to present my weaknesses first. Let her meditate on that.
Yes.
and then accept my weaknesses. So, sister, you know I'm gonna mess up.
Yeah,
This is who I am. But when we present that we are the man, we the man.
Yeah.
You're the man. I'm always get it right, say it right, do it right, and be there. Whatever you need, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
It's not realistic.
Yeah.
And she gets conditioned to that Superman. And then when the kryptonite in our lives show up,
yeah,
she begins to get irritated and start to resent it and say, hey, man, you a regular brother.
Yeah.
But you presented to me that you're Superman and you're not that guy.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm 3 months behind in my mortgage.
Bruce,
because you said you were going to handle it.
What you're bringing up now, Bruce, is I'm bestowing onto you. That's a whole book right there in itself. Superman, and have half a superhero and half of yourself sitting right there, because that's most of our story. And if we're honest, that's why I said when you were talking about in the beginning, you kind of show your weakness or give your weakness up front. And I said it's a risky move, yes, but it's an honorable one. It's just a risky because if we're honest, in most cases, most men, we are sort of taught to put your best foot forward. You'll take a picture on my best side. I want to get this. You know, you want to make sure that you're giving the best of you, so that that person has enough of a concept of you to say, you know, that's pastor such, he is some kind of good man, and he may be holistically a good man. However, he does have flaws, and some of those flaws, if we were to show them prematurely, you know, in today's time, this is a dismissive culture we live in today. People really, it's like they don't have as much, you know, empathy as once upon a time. It's like nowadays, when you give a person your truth, oh, my friend said this and that and other, oh, I'm sorry, I'll leave you alone, block. It's not the same as once upon a time where people would actually have a dialogue and ask you, so how did this happen? So how did you handle that? Like kind of walk through it. Now it's just, oh, girl, I don't have time for that. I'll move on. And it's just like, wow, you know, you miss the essence of a person, of who they really are, without having that true dialogue to understand why that person may have had that transgression in their life or that issue. You got to talk to kind of figure that out. You know, that's good. All right. Yeah.
You know, to those of us who have crossed the 50-yard line,
yeah.
So there's some things we can't hide anymore.
That's it. You know, and like before we go on, I tell people all the time, sometimes it's not that we, you know, because I hear this whole kind of like there's this big gender war between getting along and respect and all these different things. But like Bruce just said, one of the key things to remember is as all of us get older, it's only a few things happening. Either you are traveling with more luggage or you're traveling lighter. And as a result, everyone else, it becomes an issue of how do you manage what you carry. And sometimes the big divide between everyone is understanding what you're carrying versus what I'm carrying. And can we travel together in harmony, or this is going to be a disruptive flight with a lot of turbulence? So if you kind of be clear up front, you'll have a better understanding of how to understand people, as opposed to just assuming everybody's going to show up in Superman condition. You understand what I'm saying? So yeah, that's good stuff. All right. So before we go on, I have to quickly say, let's see, Darren Baker and Nelson Green are in the Clubhouse platform. So they're here. They're on there. And I want to say, if you guys are there, can you guys hear us and say something? I'm not sure if they can hear us, but if they're there, say something. Or you guys can comment if you hear us. And I know that I was just told that you guys were there. So just for the people in the audience, Darren, I'll say this, Darren Baker's chapter was consistency counts for something. Consistency counts for something, which is, you know, and from what I gather, and you know, he's not here to speak on it, but what I gather, go ahead, Darren. If you're in the comments, Darren, you can give a little small narrative while we're moving on, but you can give a little narrative to. I don't want to necessarily speak on I would love to talk about that consistency piece, but we can go ahead on and just move on. Nelson, his chapter is going to be another one similar to Carl's in terms of the controversy. His chapter is Nelson Green's chapter is Battle in the Bedroom. And I guess it's like a psychological dominance of strategy in terms of when you think traditionally of the bedroom, you don't necessarily think respect comes to mind, but I'm sure in this day and age, respect is, Bruce, go ahead, Bruce. Bruce, go ahead, break the rules. Go ahead, Bruce. I'm trying to be nice.
Hey, man. I'm trying to appear as saved as possible in this broadcast, Charles. I was saying.
You're mute. You're on mute. I think he was on mute by mistake.
I was saying that I'm trying to be as saved as possible on this broadcast. However, in the bedroom, disrespect her.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Oh, that's good stuff.
Pause.
Oh, God. Hey,
like Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that.
I guess if you're going to be Superman, you better be Superman that time, for sure. Oh, my God. All right. Okay. So my chapter was on he sees love as respect. And so I came from the perspective of, hey, women, from my perspective, a lot of women were raised to look out for the love. Like, is he doing this? That's why we hear those terms like, well, girl, that's not a real man. Because they're saying that to say, if he was real, so to speak, you would get this kind of response from him, or this kind of display or show of love. Whereas us, most of us, you'll be hard pressed to go anywhere on this earth, and if you haven't found a traditional father, son, or let's just say your peers, friends, uncles, whomever, if you ask them about advice about the opposite sex, one of the first things going to rise to the top is respect, because they're going to say, if there's no respect, you don't have nothing. Like, that's just the bottom line, and that's how most of us, when we're in relationships, we're looking at that level of respect as the mirror of love toward us. Whereas the woman is looking at your acts of service or the things you do, and he did this. Girl, can you believe this? Let's just say if the man was dating someone who had a child that wasn't his. Girl, do you know he took such and such down here and took him school shopping? He must love me. That has nothing to do how we see it, right? But to them, they see these acts of these things that you go, these grand gestures. It's like, wow, he's really showing me through his action that he loves me. We are on the other side are like, yeah, your acts of respect show how you reverence us. And that's the love we like. But I think that's not something that's been really communicated holistically. It's just, we saw our grandfathers and uncles be married for years. And because he was present and in the home, we took that to mean they was in love and he loved her and grandma was happy and all those things like that. But as we know, it's many facets to that, for sure. All right.
But you bring up a very valid point there, Charles, because at least at that point we had a chance to see it. I think the greater challenge comes is if your mate has never seen a man and a woman interact, husband and a wife interact, then they have nothing to compare respect and disrespect to.
Yes.
And that creates a problem as well. Unless they are able to find somebody that they can model after, that will show them or help them, navigate that. Say, well, you didn't have this, but you can learn it.
Correct.
I think you deal with that other component there. But if they haven't seen it, then how can I give what I don't know?
Correct. And that's a great point. In my chapter, I take a brief tour on the history of everything, of how just the exact things you were saying. So that's spot on. That's good.
Can you hear me, Charles?
I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to tidbit on that.
Come on, say what you're gonna say. That's fine.
Pastor Peel, you're absolutely right. But then I go all the way back to how are you checking your checklist when you pick your mate or significant other? Because one of the things I looked for, me personally, and I know my wife is watching, but I'm stepping out on faith. But one of the things I looked for was, do you have these things modeled? Do you know what these things are? Do you have that relationship? Because I don't have time to define it for you. You got to come with some things in your bag. You got to come with a cheat sheet. You got to come with a phone number you can call. You got to come with an auntie who's been there, done that, and can tell you, So I do my due diligence. In the book, have these brothers done their due diligence when they picked their significant other? Because there should have been a cheat sheet she should have had. And if she didn't have a cheat sheet, did you slide her something, or slide somebody something, or slide her something so that you wouldn't be where you are? That's
wow, man, these are excellent points. Another thing I have observed through life is sometimes there's a distinct difference between, let's just say, if you're dealing with someone who something as simple as they were raised with both their parents versus I've seen how people respond if they had because sometimes both your parents don't mean you had a good upbringing, right? But if you had a healthy upbringing with two parents that were functionally just like positive, there's a difference in how that woman relates to the man. Then I've seen it on the other side, and this is to no fault of no one's own, but I've seen the situations where maybe the woman, she was the product of a single family home. Maybe it was her mom, it was just her mom. And I've seen in situations like that, I've heard the narrative where it seems like it's taught, like let's just say if they have children or daughters, they're teaching them to love on the defense. It's like instead of being able to love to adapt, it's love defensively. And if he proves and shows, then you go to cover back a little bit. But you better prepare yourself to live your life without an old man, that kind of thing. And so while we understand that everyone should be self-sufficient, but if you are honestly looking to have a spouse in your life, then being defensive keeps you. If you live a life on the defense, all that does is eventually keep you isolated. No one can get to you. You've mastered protecting yourself and blocking yourself. So while you may have these relationships and you may have people that you may deem that you really care about, but the unfortunate part is because you refuse to impart a certain part of you, that person don't feel the same about you because you haven't gave yourself enough for them to embrace the whole you. You gave them the protected version, so they learned to love the protected person, which ultimately left you isolated. So yeah,
that's good.
In the absence of the authentic, I get a counterfeit.
For sure. That's it. And so this is the unfortunate dysfunctional reality that we live in, and this is on not just women but men too. We come to the table busted and broke down. And if we're honest, a lot of times, if you get the right woman in your corner, they kind of smoothing a lot of them rough edges in our world, right? If we have a good relationship. But in most times, we come kind of from situations where we didn't get it all the way right, or we didn't have the right example at home, and the same thing happens to the woman. And so when you're coming together, it's just she's giving you what she got, you giving her what you got. And then sometimes if there's no humility and empathy there, that's when there's like the clash of the titans. Someone has to be humble enough to say, you know what, we don't have to do this. This is not successful. It's not a successful exchange for us to keep doing this. That kind of thing like that. Yeah.
Well, can I just piggyback on that? Because I saw in the chat, someone was repeating what Dr. Peel said. And I know for me personally, I know you can't give what you don't know. You can't. Yeah. But no matter what you do in life, you don't know it till you learn it.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah, that's it.
So at what point do you, as a man or woman, decide I'm gonna learn how to be a better man, or I'm gonna learn how to be a better wife, or I'm gonna learn how to be a better husband. Because at some point you have to decide this can't be the route because it ain't working. So since this ain't working, when am I gonna say, okay, let me pick up a book. Let me talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Because you don't graduate with a degree without going through some classes and taking a test.
Right.
So at some point in your life, you got to be able to say, look, I know I'm broke. I need something to fix this. So I need to start researching and finding a way to fix me.
That's it. And whether those, and what I've learned about us men, some of those things that we consider fixing us are those things that we know that exist in our world that don't make us feel good as men. Whether in some cases, maybe the man he feels like he's under earning. And in his mind, he has these aspirations as to what he knows he can command, but he's just not there. And so as a result of it, he feels insecure a lot. Then or you have the men who, any type of deficiency a man has, he's going to wear it through the tough armor. It's there, but you're not going to necessarily see it because he's committed to you not seeing the real flaws. But a lot of times it could be a credit. He got bad credit. He don't have this. Maybe he has, he has children, all kinds of things that men feel like when they bring their truth to the table, they fear that risk of rejection. Mm-hmm. So we learn to master living with the mask as a man. You know what I'm saying? That makes it really tough for us. Yeah.
But Charles, they see it anyway.
Yeah, you're right.
They love us. They see it in us.
Yeah.
So it seems like, my theology may be wrong. Y'all can help me out with this, but I think that when the guy that was knocked off the horse, Saul.
Yeah.
Come on.
I think he says 3 years after he fell off the horse and got up and all that, 3 years he went one place and learned. And then another 14 years he went to another place.
Yeah.
So he prepared for years before his ministry.
For sure.
Mm-hmm. And I think that we as men, we don't do that.
No. Yeah.
We don't prepare our lives individually.
Yeah.
Through a vision so we can be ready for a wife.
Come on.
So I think we go in with the dynamics reversed. We are setting ourselves up to fail.
Yeah.
Because we're presenting to them somebody who we are not, and they see it. Mm-hmm. So the question becomes, what do we get married for? Mm-hmm. Is it to complete vision, or we call this thing love, or falling in love with this woman because she's fine and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have anything to give her.
Wow.
We're not presenting her anything to do.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say is, and my theology may be wrong with this too. Y'all help me. In my relationship with God, right?
Yeah.
If I am the church and he says that he washes his wife with the water of the word to present her to himself.
Yeah.
If the understanding is correct. So he's gonna wash me and present me to himself spotless.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why we don't do that with our women?
Yeah. But the caveat to that is that washing from him starts with our humility.
Yeah.
See, the problem is we're not humble enough to approach him to receive that part. A lot of times, and what you were saying earlier, and I can speak to this, a lot of times when it comes to us, like you're saying, I think we fail as men sometimes to surround ourselves with enough iron.
Come on.
Word says the iron sharpeneth iron. Well, who are you going to sharpen if you're not accountable to no one? Yeah. You're not going to sharpen yourself with nothing. So women have that circle a little, to be honest, they have a little more better played. Their network circle, they'll get around each other and help each other do whatever they need to accomplish, where we'll stand there and be like, oh, you going to your girlfriend's house, can see you later while we looking at TV on the couch. No iron, nowhere around us. So when these problems and things come up, we don't have anything to tap into and say, hey, David did tell me that once he handled something like this. Or Pastor Peel did say I should approach it this way. We just thinking into the book of Bruce and Charles, which gets us lost every time. So that's, I think for us, we have to learn to be humble enough to say it's okay to pick up the phone and call Patrick and say, hey, man, I'm struggling. I need some help in this area and help me. Maybe I'm looking at this real dysfunctionally. And the problem is we feel as though as men, because we are brute men, we don't want to show our scars to the next man because we've been taught that that shows weakness. So you want to just come to him with all your tattoos and, oh yeah, I was in this in the army and all these things, but you got all these issues. But because you refuse to arm yourself with enough iron that you need, you know.
I'd like to add to that.
Okay.
When you were talking about women first joining together, I just throw my little joke in there.
Okay.
Go to the washroom together. You know, they are committed to hanging it out together. But the point I was going to ask is, could that be, since all of us are Black men, could it be that from a historical experience that we've been taught to be very careful as to how much we will share of our reality, because it's been taken oftentimes in the past and misused, and and used to or used to abuse us. Are regarded at times to being real, because we don't know how far somebody will take our weakness, our truth.
That's it. Yeah, true.
And so I was just kind of throwing that out there to the brothers. Can that be a part of why we don't always get together and have the brothers sharpening one another? Like I said, the women, they'll go six feet to the washroom together.
Yeah. They tell everything. They tell all the details. And then they get up, they'll cry together, go out and eat, hang out with their friends, do all the things that they want to do. And but you know, unfortunately, even as great of a network as women have, I've even seen women turn on themselves from their own transparency. You know, I've seen them say, you know, they may have cried to one another, say, girl, it's all right. You'll get up to do it another day. And then when they at odds, oh, she's just stupid in the way. He's going to keep on doing it all day. And it's just like, well, where's the honor? You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, this is a perpetual circle of kind of dysfunction. But again, I think it's us men. It can set a strong statement to start with us. Because guess what? If anybody knows what iron sounds like, if two pieces of iron are constantly, if it's just two pieces, so you can imagine a nation of men making a sound, that sound will become infectious, and women will be curious to be like, wow, they are connecting and empowering themselves, as opposed to staying as that lone presence that's virtually deeming themselves weak every day. As the day goes by, you're getting weaker. You're not getting stronger. You're getting weaker. You know.
Can I add? I think that's a good thing about us joining together to do this book, is that you get to know that I'm not a threat to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's
You're not
it.
a threat to me.
Yes,
we can see things from different vantage points, and that's okay. It can work for our good. It doesn't have to it doesn't have to separate us. It doesn't have to make you feel like I'm coming for you. But we'll use one another's strength to help build each other. Because where you may be strong, I may be weak, but together we can be strong.
That's it.
So I think again, going back to my question, do you think that's a racial thing, or is that men altogether?
I think primarily it is definitely an African American thing. I have worked with all races of people where I've seen them, like there were times where I may work late at the office and I walked past and I saw, like, I remember seeing this Indian brother. He was crying on the shoulders of his colleague that was an Indian too, but he was having problems at home in his marriage, and he was crying to the guy, and the guy was embracing him, talking to him, telling him it was okay. You would rarely see that in our community. You know what I'm saying? If us, we're going to be like, man, I told you, I'm going to go up in there and get my pistol. We're going to come at it totally different. Whereas though they were in a situation where I kind of stopped and I was just like, what was going on? I didn't know what was happening. I was like, everything okay? It was like, yeah, come in. And he was like, he's going through this. And they invited me in to talk, which is up my alley. But anyway, so we got in there and we got to talking. And I was just like, wow. So I was impressed that the first thing they did was they didn't have any kind of preconceived notions or stuff in between them to keep them from embracing and healing each other. So I think if we start to making that practice on our side, I think it'll be something that can be infectious and reach out. And, especially if the younger community of men begin to see that, because, I think a lot of them, the reason why they're so siloed in their deception and deceit, because they don't see any connection points nowhere. There's nowhere to plug into. Like, imagine, how you are when your phone's with you at the airport, and the first thing you're looking for, if you got that low battery, you're looking for a plug. They don't have a plug in us. So they just resort to the next crooked thing they can find to get into mischief because there's no plug present. That's what.
Charles.
Yeah. Yes.
If you all can hear me clearly, I just wanted to piggyback on something Pastor Peel said.
Okay.
All of you all. We were designed,
yes,
by our history not to have the connection.
Wow.
You spoke about the races and the African Americans and etc. But if you just look at the Black community,
yes,
we are 3 or 4 generations removed from the connection, meaning I can't go to my uncle because he's dead or strung out on drugs or unavailable, or his situation is worse than mine, so I can't talk to him. And so in the absence of the authentic, you get the counterfeit, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have a connection. And in terms of the relationship with the brothers, we're taught to be vulnerable.
Yes.
We're taught to say, you know what? I'm feeling this. Because if you show me a man that's hitting a woman, I'll show you a man that's not communicating. You show me a man that's not holding on to his money, I'll show you a man who doesn't have connection, who hasn't been taught that your money is a tool and not a possession. If you show me a man, so you show me a woman who nags, I'll show you a woman who didn't read the chapter on communication. She only knows that if she continues to speak on a particular thing long enough, she'll break you, because that's taught by grandma and auntie and all of them. So we have to get back as a people to the connection of a thing, to the, it's okay for me to tell you that my first 4 or 5 years of my marriage, I was messing up. But see, I have a connection to be able to be free to tell you that half of the issues is what Michael Jackson said. It starts with the man in the mirror. So we have to get to a place where we're having this type of dialogue, not just through literature, but through one-on-ones, so that the other generations who are truly lost, and I'm talking about everybody who's 45 and under, who really don't have a grasp on relationships because they're depending on the Beyonce tickets to have the conversation that they need to have. That generation needs to be plugging into this conversation, because the other religions and races, I'll just say it that way, they haven't lost their roots.
Yeah.
They have a currency, they have a culture, they have a country. And so as African Americans, we don't have that currency, that culture, that culture, that country, and we don't have the connection. And then when I don't have my heritage, my dad is gone, my granddaddy is dead, and we ain't kept good notes, so I can't even tell you where they buried. I don't even know where their Bible is, and I don't know what grade they got to. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna shut up. We are now hitting a generation, brothers, that don't know God. I'm gonna put that out there. We're kind of on the second generation of people whose mama was never at church and whose grandmama may not have been at church. And then we wonder why the morals and the values are lost. We wonder why there's no connection with the women. We wonder why we're even having this conversation about do you respect me and do you love me and how do you handle my money and all of that, because we've forgotten that being vulnerable doesn't mean we're weak. Being vulnerable means that we are open and free. I need to be open to learning you. I'm studying my wife. Every day it's a new chapter. Every day it's a new lesson. Every day I have to take notes. And even when I think I got it down, I learn I don't. My 2 cents that's worth 5 cents. I'm going to leave that alone.
Oh, that's really good. Hey, really quick before we get ready to transition out of here, your chapter, and forgive me, we got all carried away. Your chapter is very, a very pivotal chapter in this whole thing. It's take care of my money. That's pivotal. You want to give this a little bit before we transition on? Hey, Darren, I see you there. Darren's commenting.
That was very hard for me to write.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that was not modeled in front of me. Let me just be transparent.
Yeah.
Money was keep that in context because I know this is on Facebook.
Yeah.
Was something that I said, well, that belongs to me.
Yeah.
I broke sweat for it. I deal with the racial tension at work for it. It's mine. But I had to learn that, as the scripture says, that the wealth of the wicked is set up for the righteous, which means that I'm going through something. But it's not just that I'm going through it. I got to take some licks to move the generation forward. I got to take some licks to build a foundation for my family. I got to take some so that generational wealth is a reality. And not just generational financial wealth, generational emotional wealth, generational freedom. We can have other conversations other than you need a hustle, you need an LLC, you need to get you, these banks are giving out. We need to get past that conversation and say, I got 50 acres for you. And it's in a trust. And regardless of what you do with your life, it's going to stay in a trust generation after generation. See, we removed from that. So my chapter took me more. It took me further than I wanted to go past the Peel, kept me longer than I wanted to stay. But I'm here to tell you, Jonathan, that it's an opportunity to read that.
You're going to help some people with it, for sure.
It's all about navigating the essential resources. And one of the essential resources in our society is money. But we got to get money as an opportunity to move to the next level and not something to bury. And for those church folks that I can't see, y'all saying, I don't understand, let me help you. He gave you 3 talents and you buried your talent instead of how to multiply your talent. That's waste of talent. So that's what I'm going to put right there. I'm grateful to be on this platform. I think I might be the youngest one, but I come learning and desiring to understand so that I can take the wisdom, those that are watering, I can catch that water and water those that are coming behind me.
Awesome. Hey, before we transition really quick, the other two, Darren and I forget, Nelson, before we transition on, can you guys hear us? I know someone said you could hear us. Can you hear us to say something or not? I know I saw Darren comment. I wanted to give y'all a chance to say hi if you could speak. If not, don't worry about it. But I thought I'll give you a shot. Yeah. I don't see no comments. All right. So really quick, guys. Does anybody, before we transition out of here, let's go around the horn really quick and you guys give like a 30-second final word to kind of encourage the people on to get the book. Oh, this is what I want to say. Tell everybody where they can buy your book, where they can go and buy your book before the whole mass sale takes place. They can all personally go in and get your book. Let's start with you, Pastor Peel.
Okay. Well, I've enjoyed this. I really appreciate this point that you made, Charles, when you said we got to know when and when not.
Yeah.
But not only do we have to know when and when not, we have to know how.
Yes.
Because that's imperative to getting to success as well.
Yes.
You can go and support me at rex-a-peel.square.site. And that's my website.
Rex dot y'all write that down.
rex-a-peel.square.site. SITE.
Awesome. Good stuff. Carl?
Man, it's been a pleasure, man, being on here with you brothers tonight. This book, I as I was talking to somebody else, I said it's going to be a teaching manual.
Yeah.
For as we talked about different things tonight, for men to better understand ourselves and understand what real respect looks like, not running around pounding on your chest.
Yeah.
Type of respect. We'll be able to grow that, and then for women to have an even better insight into what comes from emotionally mature men and speaking from their hearts with that. So I'm telling you, I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to even reading everybody else's stuff. It's just going to be.
It's going to be awesome.
I'm ready for it. So, and then
you can
You can purchase my book from www.coachingwithcarl.com. That's www.coachingwithcarl.com.
Nice. All right. Nice. David.
Great job, gentlemen. I thought it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure for me to meet you all and to be on this platform and to co-author with this book. Thanks to P. Koffe Brown and her team for even allowing me to be a part of this project. Hey, I just want to say something real quick. Sometimes I want to say who the book is for. I think this book can be for anyone who's already in a relationship. But as we were talking tonight, it made me popped in my mind for those who are thinking long terms for a relationship. We prepare for everything else in life except for probably the longest term relationship that you'll ever have besides your relationship with Christ, because that's eternity, is a relationship with your partner, your wife. And so this book right here will help you prepare for what do most men, what they feel is respect, and how you can take that information, and ladies, not to be defensive, but how can I help better the relationship? And as men, be able to read these books as well. If I don't talk to you, but you can hear my chapter, and hopefully that speaks loud as well. So brothers, I really appreciate the opportunity. You can follow me on the social platforms. I shared it out to my people already. I just appreciate the opportunity to write this book, and I'm looking forward to this book doing great things. Thanks again for this conversation.
Mighty too. All right.
Great and mighty things.
Yeah, Bruce.
I too want to thank Koffe for allowing me to have this experience. It takes a woman like Koffe and her team to be able to put men together to do a project like this. So I want to give a special shout out to her. In addition, I want to say that we should help each other give a woman something to respect.
Yes, for sure.
And give a woman something to look up to.
Yes.
I was thinking earlier that, now that I'm preparing for retirement, I've been buying houses and renovating them and either selling them or renting them out for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And Charles, I was thinking like, man, I've been doing this for so long, but I would have gotten further if I did business with another man that was doing the same things that I did. We would have created something larger. But because we don't trust each other from that culture that's been handed down to us, we don't trust and believe in one another. I think we need to show our women that we can do that.
Yes.
That we complete ourselves as men and come together as men, and it will give them something to support.
Yes.
So I appreciate the conversation. You guys are awesome, and I look forward to more of it in the future.
Awesome. Patrick.
I almost broke out into church, giving honor where honor is due. Koffe and her team, and to the distinguished gentlemen on this live stream, and to those that are not on this session but will be on the next session, thank you for this opportunity. You can find me at PayPal, Pastor Patrick Porter at PayPal. You can find me Patrick Edward on Facebook, and a list of options are there. And I just hope that my tidbit, because I don't have it all, but I don't need it all to share what I have.
Yes.
Hope that my tidbit will encourage people to understand, encourage couples to understand, encourage men to understand, and highlight for women and significant others to understand.
Yeah.
Money is just a manageable moment.
Yeah.
Someone else will get that later. It's a manageable moment, but it's not something you should hang your relationship on. Just like our hair was once there, it is now gone. Our sight was once there, it is now gone. So it's a temporary thing, but if you leverage it right, it's a temporary thing that can have residual benefits, not just in your financial life, but in your emotional life. And I am grateful. I can't wait to get the book to read you all's chapter, because I'm trying to carry more water than people possible. I got to learn from your pitfalls and your mistakes so I can step over. My friend used to say, I'll leave this here. Don't worry about the mountain. Navigate the little pebbles you're going to trip over.
That's it. Wow, this is good. Hey, I want to, Pastor Phil, did you already go? Did you?
I did.
Okay, okay. Just want to make sure I miss anyone. Yeah, I wanted to say also, guys, I wanted to tell all of you, man, you did a phenomenal tonight. I appreciate, speaking alongside you guys. And I, too, am thankful for P Koffe including us all. I mean, their whole team was real stellar, and the way they pushed things along, and it was kind of seamless. I know sometimes P Koffe be like, we're like, you get off our back. No, but anyway, no, just joking. But anyway, no, they do a great job. They have a way of kindly cracking the whip, but they're getting it done. And it's like a well-oiled machine, and they're building quite the repository of wealth of books and knowledge that's good. The only thing I would add to go on is, as I participate in these types of things and contribute my part, what I'm hoping for is just to continue in the spirit of understanding between men and women. I think that is the big thing. It's like we are out here attempting from a place of insanity to love someone adequately who we have a lack of understanding with. It's like it's impossible to really love someone right if you don't know them. So things like these are outlets where you can get an idea. This is just the male side of it, but there are some books that I know that beforehand Koffe and them had released that were rebuttals to things men did before. And I'm sure she's cooking up one for this one, but nonetheless, it gives both sides of the coin, which is what we all need. So I want to thank you all for definitely tuning in tonight. All the people that from all over the platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse. Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight, and Facebook, of course, and supporting us. Remember, we'll be back again next week, this same time, with the second round group of guys. But the book is going live on the 12th. So remember, but you can get your pre-order copy from any of these guys that you see, especially autograph. You can reach out to anybody. Heck, if you want to get a copy from everyone, do that. Reach out to everybody and say, hey, I want a book from you too. You can do that, and not just your person, but you can get a copy from everybody. And everybody can especially autograph your book if you reach out in advance, and we can just do it like that. So on that note, I want to say thanks to you guys. Thanks again to P Koffe and the team for having us here. And we will see you guys next week. All right, guys. Take care.